Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sideline Podcast, hosted by myself, it's Kevz, and Fortune Live. And if you don't know already, this is a podcast where we talk about all things CDL. And so I hope you guys enjoy it. Just so you know, this is available on Spotify, Apple, anywhere where you get your podcasts. Also on our YouTube channel, so make sure to go check them out. How you doing, Fortune?
I'm doing pretty good. What about you, man?
Good. Yeah, I'm good too. Thanks. It's been a crazy couple of weeks for Call of Duty and, in my life, but we keep on trucking and COD's never been more competitive and more entertaining in my opinion.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I know, especially in this last stage 3 major, I was watching it and I was in awe at just how strong the competition was, how close a lot of the matches were. There's a lot of people that like to bag on some of these lower tier teams, but the thing is each day you go in, anyone can beat anyone on any given day. So
yeah, I think Florida is a perfect example of that. You have Florida, they're losing to these bottom tier teams like Seattle, Paris, but then you see Florida on their day, they're beating LAT. Did they beat Optic? No, they lost Optic, but they can come out and beat these higher tiered teams on their day, but on other days when these lower tier teams come out, they can bring it too and really bring it to some of these better teams. So yeah, I mean, the competition has never been as good in my opinion.
Yeah, I actually think another good example of that too is London. Didn't they take FaZe to a game 5?
Yeah, I believe they did, and they went 4-4 this time, and everyone this last stage, so stage 3, and everyone considered London a lower tier team, but they did go 4-4, and they did definitely bring some heat. So that's kind of undeniable.
Yeah, they looked arguably the best they have all season, and they still made roster changes.
It's kind of crazy.
I don't understand that one.
So I'm a little unclear. If you could help me understand, that would be great. So they dropped. Well, I don't know if it's official yet, but they've dropped Zapdius and Zed, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, that I believe Zed is just streaming now. I don't think he's actually going to go to a challengers team.
Oh, really?
Zapdius, okay. I saw something.
He's been rumored with Paris.
Yeah,
he's been in lobbies with them and stuff. So yeah, that's interesting. So Zapdius actually didn't have a bad stage really. He had a 0.91 hardpoint KD, 0.86 S&D, and a 1.07 control. So he didn't play bad in a sense, but I think London really have this drive to be one of those contender teams. And I think they're kind of like LAT in that sense, where they will keep making roster changes until, keep throwing something out of the wall until it sticks,
Yeah.
So they want to be contenders, and I got to respect that. Same with LAT. But yeah, that's some talking points we're going to have down the line, I feel.
So they brought in Alex and Afro. What do we know about those guys?
Afro's moving out to the States. I believe now he tweeted a couple of days ago, I believe, that he was on a plane. So he's on his way out. They're not going to have a lot of time to practice with these guys, but Afro is kind of like a challengers legend. And who was the other one? Sorry, I forgot. Oh my god, my mind.
They brought back Alex. He actually Alex. He had some family issions, I think, early on in the season, so he stepped down.
Yeah, so at the start of the season, he actually left to go back to England. But he didn't have a great stage 1. I can actually pull up his stats right here in a second. All right, he had a 0.93 in hardpoint, 0.93 in S&D, and a 0.91 in control. So not great. And with him, the team was 0-5. So I don't know, man. I feel like it's a bit interesting because if I was London, I would have been a bit more inclined to keep Zapdius maybe over bringing back Alex. But I mean,
I think I would have had to keep Zed and bring in Afro for Zaptius. That probably would have been my move.
Okay. Well, yeah, I definitely see that. I think just keeping that AR core at London is vital for them because Shawnee just brings the consistency. Even though his S&D was a little bit shaky this season, this stage, that last stage, sorry.
Yeah, of course.
You know, he does bring that consistency normally. He just needs to get back to that. And Paul X has just been phenomenal, dropping over a 1.0 in every single game mode for London. So, I mean, solid performance out of Paul. But it's interesting.
As I'm looking at Afro's team history, he actually doesn't have a very broad history. I mean, he's got a lot of.
Yeah, he's only 19 years old, so.
He's played for, I believe, 6 teams in the past. And none of them are really anything notable. So this is his first big break.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting. I'll be excited to see.
I believe he was on the bench last season as well for the Ravens. He didn't really get his chance, but I feel like the whole zero Trey situation has really messed up London this season. They plan to have him, but he just hasn't been able to get out yet. Yeah. And I think that's been the biggest blow to London so far. But I mean, respect for them for just continuously trying to, you know, be the best that they can be, making all those roster changes. I can't even count how many now. I'm lost.
Been a lot. We got roster mania mid-season.
Exactly.
I didn't expect that to happen.
Mm-hmm. So let's get on to the All-Star weekend that just passed. I didn't actually watch a lot of it. I got kind of triggered. I couldn't get a damn code. As hard as I tried. I was there ready, copy and pasting that shit, bro, and it was already gone. I was like, dude, seriously?
I sat there.
Give me a Die Hard bundle. Come on, man. Yeah. But yeah, I did see that Abizi did come out on top.
Yes.
FaZe winning their second All-Star weekend. So, I mean,
it's actually funny how that translates to the actual league. You know, we're seeing FaZe dominate as a 4-man, and then you see him 1v1ing these other guys, and they're still just going at it. And I mean, that's 2 years in a row. Cellium last year, Abizi this year. It's really, as a FaZe fan, it's a lot of fun to see.
Yeah, it is good to see. As a FaZe fan myself as well. I mean, yeah, it's good. It's good to see. So yeah, I mean, there was a little bit of drama on the timeline with Dashi and Envoy talking about the ping situations again.
Yeah.
I can't tell if they're joking or not. I think Envoy wasn't joking, but I think Dashi was. But I mean, they need to get some like new Wi-Fi up in that hex scores or something, because they're always complaining about ping, the St. Louis server. They need to get it sorted out, man. I heard that they are actually getting another line just for the players. So if that's happened already, I mean, hopefully that can help them, because I'm not a big fan of Optic myself, but I want everyone to have a fair chance. And you know, if there actually is a ping situation holding them back, I do hope that, you know, that gets sorted out ASAP.
Yeah. We gotta hope, you know, us that want, you know, the best for Optic. We really gotta hope that they bounce back, because they get that new line and they're still stinking it up in these majors. You know, these next stage matches. It's really gonna be ugly.
Yeah, this past stage matches that they had in stage 3, they weren't looking great. They really weren't, especially with the big defeat they had to FaZe. Yes, I understand that there was the Atlanta 4 quad host situation, but honestly, would it have changed much if they were on the St. Louis server? Personally, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I feel like that was kind of just an excuse, and Envoy had an absolute horrid series against FaZe. It was actually the worst KD ever in the CDO. He actually beat Karma's record from last year. So yeah, that's rough. But they did come into the major looking hot. They went on the longest map streak, I believe. So yeah, respect for them, to them, for bouncing back like that. I mean, fair dues.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, I don't really know what's going on. I've heard too, like, I guess some people are targeting Formal, saying that they're
yeah.
kill whoring. And on the topic of that is what I've noticed from a lot of these people. This is what I hear going around when I watch the flank and scrolling through the timeline. They're actually saying that a lot of these guys are probably scared. There's all these roster changes. Some of them arguably just whimsical, but these roster changes are happening, so they probably feel the need to play for their stats other than playing to win. Because look at London. This is just my opinion, but they played arguably better than they have all season, and those guys still ended up getting put on the bench. So they gotta go big or go home, or they're gonna get put on the bench and not have a job. They're gonna be playing challengers. So
That is really just the state of this game at the moment. Like, there's so much competition, there's so much talent around the scene. You have guys like Method, Slasher, TJ on the bench. Your position's always going to be in jeopardy, and you have to be at least showing off some stats. Otherwise, you could be in trouble. But on the contrary to that, we could just talk about Classic real quick, because I feel like he's a big, other side to that argument. Because while we do argue that stats are a big point in, determining someone's skill level and their performance, Classic stats have been there's not even a word for it, to be honest. But there is a word for it, but I don't know if I want to say it on a podcast. But Classic has not been good this season, and I do see why Paris would want to drop him. But Seattle picking him up, I'm really not sure that was a good move from them. What are your thoughts on it?
I don't even know where to begin with that. I mean,
well, actually, maybe we should talk about Decimate first, and then we can transition onto that. So
Decimate, from what I heard, everybody's clowning him for his ego because he didn't really give it a chance, and I do
feel like that it would have worked though. I feel like he kind of jumped the gun a bit too quick, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like he was putting up pretty good stats next to Octane. He wasn't as good as Octane, but he was there and abouts, competing with him and putting up numbers alongside him. And I do think they could have become a contender. All they needed was Gunless and Pristini to step up, because they really had a bad stage to their standards. Right. So Octane and Decimate were putting up some numbers in S&D, and that's what they need at this point. If Surge want a chance to survive and make it to champs, they need to become an S&D team, because the way that the league is structured, the matches are structured at this point, S&D is vital, and you have to be winning S&Ds. If you can win S&Ds, you can win series, you can win majors, because how many S&Ds are there in the major final? It's 3 or 4. So if you can, and in the games you get 2 S&Ds if it goes to a game 5. So all you have to do is steal 1 respawn and win out on S&Ds.
Right.
And I feel like that's what they could have done with Decimate, but Decimate's ego, I guess, was too big. So he steps down, benches himself to save his stock, I guess, for the next season, which I don't think was a good idea at all, because I feel like his stock has been affected more by doing this. I feel like if he would have just played it out, given it his all, I mean, tough. But
it's got to be hard for a guy like him, though, because if you look at the way social media makes things out to be, anybody on the Seattle Surge that aren't Octane instantly gets clowned. I mean, even if you put up good numbers, if you lose the series, you don't make a run, they're gonna say, get Octane, help Sam. And so, and it doesn't help that Seattle Surge, I don't know if you noticed this, they posted a graphic, I think, when they were teasing the actual signing of Decimate. It actually said help Octane or save Octane on the graphic. And you gotta wonder what those other guys on the team are thinking. Pristini and Gunless, they've been on the team all season, and you have these graphics that your org is putting out saying, save Octane. But
that's a great point. Yeah,
it really probably it's got to bring your stock down.
Yeah, it's really gotta it's gonna be in their head that even their org isn't supporting them at this point. And I mean, it's just a little rough. I mean, the stats do support that kind of like save Octane agenda, but I mean, it's a team game at this point. Like, respect to Octane for putting up these stats, but like, could he do it without his team? No. So you got to give the team some slack sometimes, but you can't argue that they haven't been performing.
Yeah, you gotta wonder if a guy like Octane is actually going to re-sign with them.
I highly doubt he will. I think he'll probably go to somewhere like LA Thieves. Yeah, that's what I want to see. I'm kind of manifesting it. So yeah, I mean,
we're speaking it into existence.
Exactly. I don't know how it would work. Maybe like a 2-person trade or something like that, because Seattle just clearly isn't working. Whatever's going on over there on the Surge, it should be working, but it ain't. So they've just got to change it. I think they got to rip the house from the foundations up, build a whole new roster.
Do you imagine Draza and Venom on Seattle?
What, for the Surge?
Yeah.
I don't see how that trade would work, honestly. But
you get Octane and Gunless, or like Octane and Pristini.
I think if there was a trade that was going to happen, a 2-person trade especially, I think it would be more like Octane and Pristini for maybe Slasher and TJ, or Slasher and Venom, Slasher and Draza, or something like that. Maybe, because I think Slasher has a lot of drive to get back into the league, and I feel like, especially when it goes back to LAN, Slasher is going to be like one of the top people that these teams are going to want to pick up, because they want to see what he can do on LAN, especially because he's got that history, he's got that experience.
Yeah. He's competed for some of the best COD teams in recent history, so it's crazy to see some of these guys on the bench. And with that being said, we thought that there was going to be like four more teams coming into the league by like 2022, and now I'm hearing that I guess expansion teams aren't going to happen because the marketing. Well, this is what I heard. They were talking about, with the way that it's being played online and stuff, it's not bringing in as much money, obviously, as it would be if it was actual an event. So these investors are kind of scared to put that money down. And, God.
Yeah.
We really need to see a couple more teams. We need guys like Slasher and Parasite each off the bench. They need to be on a team.
100%. Yeah, I agree. But I don't know, if there's no expansion teams, I just don't see a world where some of those, like all of those guys, will get off the bench. I think.
Yeah.
I don't even know what happens if you're on the bench for 2 years straight and you're a name like Slasher or TJ. What do you even do at that point? Maybe you just grind out challenges.
Chalk it and play Warzone?
Yeah, probably. It's something like that, like a blast situation, it would seem like.
And a guy like NATO still hasn't been picked up.
True. Isn't he on
I think he's on NYSL
Academy. Yeah, but I thought that team was like chalked. I thought the academy just completely fell apart.
I think it is, but he has like a $25K buyout, and people aren't really willing to drop that down. So
that's tough.
And he said that this is like his best game that he's played today. You gotta wonder if a team like Seattle,
you gotta think
Paris is, thinking maybe they can get somebody.
All right, so talking about Seattle and Paris, let's just get on to the Classic situation. It's interesting, to say the least. I mean, Classic has not been good this year, and I think they are, as I wrote down on the topic sheet, delusional surge. Like, what are they talking about? I watched the video, and I'm going to read this because I can't even believe it. They said they want someone to match Pristini's pace. He probably is going to match Pristini's pace, but they don't want that. And I'll elaborate on that in a second. And they also said they want a IGL in S&D. Well, Classic's stats in S&D for stage 3 was 0.52. So I'm not sure you'd want him for S&D. Like if his best mode is hardpoint, I'd say. He had a 0.81 this stage gone by, which isn't good, but I mean it's his best mode, I think. And as I said, Surge need to become a better S&D team if they want to get to champs. They need to be winning games based on search and destroys. So I think bringing Nikki D in is just not a good move, especially for Decimate. I know they didn't bench Decimate, but Decimate was putting up numbers in S&D. He had a 1.21, which was second to Octane's 1.43. That's why I said Decimate and Octane could have made something special here, but I guess Decimate's ego is too big. But Classic now coming in with a 0.5 in S&D, which will be by far the worst on the team.
Seems like a bad rep. I don't know if I'd want that guy, leading my S&D team.
Yeah, it's rough. He had the second lowest overall KD in stage 3. Second only to Looney, who actually got dropped from the Surge. So I don't understand. I get that they're just stats, but he just hasn't been performing at Paris. We can see that with the record as well. Paris have not been winning games. They're probably considered second worst team in the league, right behind the Surge, ahead of the Surge. I mean, but
they've pretty much both been memed. I mean, Paris and Seattle are bottom feeders. For the last 2 years, that's been the same.
Exactly. It's just I don't know what's wrong, because Paris have a good management. They have They have a good coaching staff. So does Seattle. So I don't understand. It should be working. It just isn't.
I think Seattle really does need to, sharpen their search. They got to rely on it, because they can't depend on stealing a respawn. Look how just stellar these respawn teams are this year. Look at New York's hardpoint. Look at Ultra's hardpoint and their controls. Look at Atlanta's control. These guys are playing just lights out respawn. You can't bank on stealing something from those guys. If you even get that far in the first place, you got to beat the rocker teams and stuff like that. We'll get into the groups and stuff and who they're going to be playing later, but you really got to work on search, because that's huge.
So that's what I was saying with the pacing. Like, Classic's pacing has been bad this season. He has been slow on that SMG. He's just not been getting the engagements and the kills per 10 minutes type thing that he needs to be getting. With the speed and the quality and the skill of this league at the moment, you need to be playing quick, you need to be playing smart, and you need to be working as a team. And Pristini and Classic have both been slow this year on their engagements and their kills per 10 minutes. They have had pretty bad stats, especially Pristini last stage, as well as Gunless. Octane and Decimate were the only ones really getting the high amount of kills per 10 minutes and the engagements. So I think it's going to be rough, because they've just brought in a slower player than Decimate, who's not great at S&D. Well, so far, we haven't seen him be great at S&D.
Yeah.
And unless Gunless and Pristini pick up their form, and God forbid Octane falls off form, if Octane falls off form and everyone stays as they've been, this could be bad. This could be bad. We thought the hard point against LAT was bad with the 11 points. I don't want to see it, buddy. Surge versus Ultra, if they keep playing like this, that could be bad. But best of luck, Seattle. I do like Octane. He has good stats, and I don't think he's one of the players that Zuma talks about when he's like, people are just going for kills, people are kill whoring, people are just trying to watch their own backs. I don't think Octane does that. I don't know. I could be wrong though. Maybe I don't know.
I don't either. I don't think he's that way. I mean, he's been
and I feel like Octane is the IGL as well. So I don't know.
Just hate it. You hate it for the guy.
Yeah, you really do. Someone say Sam, but push that agenda even more. it's tough. It's a tough situation. I'd hate to be Luminosities because that is who owns the Surge.
Yeah,
They haven't got a lot of money.
At this point.
Yeah, they haven't got a lot of money. They're throwing money to try save themselves, but
yeah,
it's been rough.
Classic's probably all they could afford at this point.
Yeah, it's really rough. But maybe I don't know. Maybe they'll sell. Honestly, like it's just not worked out for 2 years straight now.
Yeah,
I don't know why. It should work. They have the good IGL AR in Octane, but it's just I don't know.
yeah
I really can't tell you. But yeah, I mean,
speaking of teams that have not been working out, Dallas Empire also made a change over the last couple weeks. They threw Hook in the trash can and they said, "I don't want to play with you anymore." And then brought in Decimate, or not Decimate. They brought in Fellow.
Yeah.
And I think how many games did they play with him? It was like not even a whole stage. I think
it was like 7. I want to say 7 games. But yeah, it was rough. I mean, I don't know. I actually commented when they benched Fellow. They were like, "Good luck, Fellow." They literally used the same template as they used when they got rid of Hook. And I literally commented on the tweet. I was like, "Oh, there's this guy called Hook. Have you heard of him? I think he'd fit perfectly into this role." Like, I feel like they jumped the gun way too quick on selling Hook. I mean, respect to them. I'm not a big fan of MV myself, but respect for them, giving him another opportunity to be on a starting roster, thinking that they wouldn't need him. But I don't know why they did that.
They brought in Vivid from LAG.
Yeah, now they have
a pickup
for Fellow. Vivid is a great pickup, but did they drop the right guy?
No,
I don't think so. They need people to match Shotzi's speed and pace. Shotzi has been phenomenal, especially in the last stage. He's really been stepping it up. Big respect to Shotzi. And Fellow was kind of matching his pace as an AR. Fellow was being a quick AR, especially in the S&D. He put up a 1.11 in S&D, which was the best out of any of the Empire players throughout stage 3. I don't think Fellow deserved to get dropped at all. I think it definitely was Illy who should have been dropped. Illy had the 3rd lowest overall KD in stage 3.
Yeah.
I mean,
you gotta think about the way this team could really. That would force either Hook or Shotzi to run an AR. So I don't know who would have ended up.
No. If Vivid came in for. Wait a minute. Fellow is an AR. How? Yeah. Oh, so Illy's gonna go back to. No, that would still work. If they took Illy out, Illy's an SMG. They took Illy out for Vivid. They put Vivid in. Vivid's a fast SMG who's going to match Shotzi.
Yeah.
Fellow's being a fast, AR, especially in the S&D. So I think they'd have Crim6 as the anchor because he's been a slower AR player, especially in the last stage.
Yeah.
They'd have two quick SMG, a quick SMG duo, in Vivid and Shotzi, and they'd have Fellow to match their pace with an AR as well. And I honestly don't know why they've dropped Fellow instead of Illy. I think the team comp would work way better with Vivid instead of Illy, but maybe it's a friendship league. I don't know.
I'm not mad that Dallas picked up Vivid.
I'm not mad. Vivid's an exceptional player.
Vivid should be on Dallas, though. My point being, I don't think LAG should have dropped this guy. He was their top performing player.
Yeah.
He was their star. What are you guys doing over there?
Dropped him. Yeah. I don't think they dropped him, though. Silly went on the flank recently and said that Vivid kind of benched himself because he said that he was frustrated that the team wasn't improving, that it just wasn't getting better. So they did So Vivid benched himself, leaving LAG just a couple days to bring in Chino. Chino, by the way, great performance, best on the team this stage, in my opinion.
He's looking good.
Yeah, and I mean the stats even kind of reflect that. But Silly on the SMG last stage, he was bad.
Yeah.
Like, that team is not going to succeed with the pacing that they have on the SMGs. Like, they're just not. The ARs on LAG are more fast-paced than the SMGs.
Yeah, which is really weird.
Yeah. Chino and Assault are going around the map with the ARs, kind of frying, and they just haven't got the SMGs to back them up. So that's why I think this team just will not succeed, especially with this lineup. They have Apathy, who's notoriously a slow SMG. And then they have Silly, and he's swapped from that AR to SMG role when Vivid benched himself, and he's not looked good. But he looked all right. He looked all right on the AR at the start of the season, but now he's changed to the SMG. It's just a bit chalked.
I would think that they'd figure it out. I mean, 3 out of 4 of those guys, they won a ring together not even 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, with the Evil Geniuses World War II squad.
Yeah, well, they're all exceptional players, but the problem is at this point, everyone is exceptional in the league. True. It's just how you work together and how you play together is all that matters nowadays. So it's going to be interesting to see. But I don't hold out much hope for this LAG squad.
No.
Where are they in the standings? Are they even...
I believe they're like at that 8th spot. Maybe I could be wrong.
I think Florida's in the 8th spot, if I'm not wrong. But yeah, they are 9th. So Florida's 8th, they're 9th by 30 points.
Yeah, they're only 30 points behind. So think of what could happen if Florida has a bad tourney.
Mm-hmm.
LAG can get into the top 8. So
maybe.
The top 8.
But you got to think London are also heating up right under them. So
yeah,
it's going to be interesting.
Minnesota might also take off just a little bit now, bringing Major Maniac back into the lineup. They might be able to move up.
That's exactly what they needed to do.
Minnesota
Minnesota needed to be a S&D team. Exactly. Yeah. That's what they're realizing. S&D is so vital to winning series in the way that these majors and the matches are set up. So that's why I think Seattle have really just chalked themselves here. Honestly, the only saving grace for Seattle at this point, in my opinion, is the man, the myth, the legend, Doug Sense of Mine. Get him in. He's the only man. Let him 1v4 every other team, man. Let Doug come in. It's chalked already. What can go wrong? I mean, everyone wants it. Everyone wants to see it. No Doug, no dub. You know,
I think he's actually been posting like photoshopped like pictures.
Yeah, he's been trying to get in the team so bad. Oh, it's funny, but no one's giving him a chance.
No, it's crazy.
I mean, he dropped 7 on that hard point last year, but like Dash, he also dropped 7 in an actual game. So give him a chance. Come on. I'd love to see it, honestly, but yeah. So you asked, will Ultra go ultra big or go ultra home? So let me hear your take on that. Like, what do you think?
So Toronto, they've been, I think, pretty good all year. They've been on a very steady incline, but like we talked about earlier, the competition is actually getting even better than it was prior to the start of the season. We're seeing teams like London heat up. We're seeing a possibility of LAG doing something. Florida, we know Florida's one of those teams that they're either going to show up and they're going to fry, or they're going to show up and they're going to roll over and show their belly. Thieves have Hook now. Who knows if they'll figure that out, because they're really not looking that good with Hook. But I think, personally, I think Ultra, they'll get better and they'll stay one of these top 3 teams. But I do think there's also a chance that they do start to kind of plateau. I'm curious to see what happens with them. They're 5 behind Dallas. They're number 4 in the standings. They're going to go to champs, but
Yeah.
I'm just curious to see if they stay as one of these top. I think they're a top 2 team. I was saying it last stage, this last major. I honestly, watching the teams play, I thought New York and Ultra were like the 2 most impressive teams to watch outside of
Yeah, for
FaZe.
sure. Yeah. I
Always
agree. I
touching
mean,
FaZe.
Ultra had an amazing showing. Like they were about to beat FaZe's, match win record, until FaZe themselves stopped them.
Which was cool.
Yeah, that was good. I appreciate that. But I mean, Ultra is just an example of an all-round good team. Like they're all dropping 1.0s on every mode. I mean, the pacing, it's very consistent throughout the team.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, they're just a very solid team. They can come out and win every single series if they put their minds to it.
Yeah.
So
Shout
I mean,
out to Bance.
Yeah. Shout out to Bance. I mean, didn't have the best last stage compared to his major of stage 2, but I mean, still a fantastic stage. I mean,
yeah,
yeah,
not the finish
shout
they
out
probably
to
would
Bance.
have hoped for.
But I think Cammy was definitely the big word. Big surprise, big X factor for the Ultra last stage, as well as Kleenex.
Kleenex was insane in Surge. Kleenex,
Mm-hmm.
Back to what you've been saying this entire show. Search and destroy is so key, and I think a lot of these teams need to get on board with that.
Yeah, 100%.
Some of these teams that are good at respawn are good at respawn. You're not going to beat these teams that are really good at respawn. You got to hope for a steal, but you're not going to consistently beat out a New York or a FaZe or an Ultra.
So yeah, we've seen that with FaZe. Really, they kind of fell off in their respawn abilities, but they've just sharpened their S&D under 2-pack, and look at them now. They won a major again, and they're looking stronger than ever, just because they sharpened up their S&D. So that's really all it takes. So that's why I think Surge have made a huge mistake, and I mean, we'll see how it goes. But I think Rocker, that's a good swap out right there, because Accuracy's performance in stage 3, in S&D was just not good enough to the standard that Rocker needs. He dropped a 0.65. So yeah, it's not good enough, really, honestly, to be honest. So
yeah. The fans mentioned that maybe it had something to do with the what was it, Ramadan, right? And his fasting. Yeah. Which, if that's the case, like I do feel bad for the guy. Prior to the season starting, I didn't think Lamar was that good. Anyways, I don't know how good he is intangibly as far as being a leader and just being that VOD guy. I don't know. I've never played with the guy, but
I mean, they have Attach, Priest, and Priest on the team, and they have Standy as the young gun. People keep saying that people are overestimating the importance of an IGL nowadays, because players know what they're doing. Players are, skilled, they're experienced at this point, and I feel like Attach probably brings as much of an IGL role as Accuracy does.
On paper, I think that Rocker team should be contending for championships.
Yeah, especially with Major back in. Accuracy, I had my doubts, especially at the start of the season, but he proved me wrong at the start. And then stage 3, we kind of saw him fall off with a 0.84 in hardpoint, 0.65 in S&D.
Can't forget about that clutch play versus Optic.
Yeah. After that, I mean, that was in stage 2 major, correct?
I thought it was 3.
No, it was 2. It was the stage 3 was.
Oh yeah, that's what I meant. I was thinking we were already at 4. My bad.
Yeah, we are at 4.
Yeah, 4 starts Friday, I think.
Yeah. So, anyways, yeah. After that, I mean, Rocker kind of got smoked off the map against Ultra in stage 2 major. So, ever since the Accuracy play, I mean, he hasn't looked great. I don't think that has anything to do with it. But I also didn't know about the fasting thing. If that is a reason why, I'm really sorry. I just wasn't educated on that. But I mean, yeah, it's tough. Accuracy just didn't have a great stage to his standards or the Rocker's standards. So yeah, I mean, I think the change was good. They needed the change to get back to their S&D prowess that they had in stage 2, stage 1.
Yeah, I do think that was the right move. I think that should have been the move in the first place. You know, you put Standy in, pull out Lamar, leave Major. I think they'd be in a lot better spot in the standings if they'd done that initially. But
yeah, and I mean, Major kind of he didn't give up. He didn't stop after he got dropped. He went down into challenges and had the best S&D KD in the whole of challenges elite by like a ton. I swear, he had like it was crazy. I saw it the other day. I can't remember it exactly, but it was a really good KD for S&D, and I think that's exactly what the Rocker needs. And I feel like Challenges is a pretty good reflection of what the Pro League is now, because there's just so much talent throughout Challenges and the Pro League. So I think Major in for accuracy is a great move. I think that he will bring that S&D glory back to the Minnesota Rocker.
The only issue I have with Challengers is that it's not marketed enough.
Yeah, 100%. I just go on YouTube and CDL's just streaming, and I just didn't know about it.
Yeah. I mean, you got to think there's still really, really big teams. Some of the teams that just didn't get a chance to buy into the league that are still competing in Challengers, and they're not getting that publicity that they initially would have gotten. I hate to see that.
Yeah, teams are dying to get into the league. Like the expansion teams are dying to get in. Like Rise Nation, I mean, they want to get in. I'm sure E United probably want to get in.
For sure.
So I don't know why they wouldn't do the expansion.
There's another one I'm thinking of. Heretics? Is that what they go by? I'm thinking of a Spanish.
Yeah, it's probably Heretics then. I believe that's their name. But yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of organizations that want to get into the CDL because it's exciting. I mean, it's the most exciting and interesting and entertaining esport that I've personally ever watched. Hence why I'm here doing a podcast about it, I guess.
Right, yeah.
So yeah. I mean, is there any other teams that you want to talk about? Or
New York is one that I've had my eye on. I've actually talked about them a lot already. I think that I'm an Atlanta fan, so take everything I say very seriously. I'm not a biased fan, but New York is so much fun to watch. I love Clayster. I love the move to pick up a seam. It was a huge curveball for a lot of people that don't actually keep up with the COD scene like some of us do. Clayster and Asim have had a history. They knew they were going to play together. Clayster wanted Asim because the time that they played together on FaZe, he just knew he was the guy. Picked him up.
Yeah, I believe Zuma actually was the one who said, get Asim in here. Yeah. After, I believe, he announced that he was retiring. He was like, get Asim in here. He will do your job, and he has.
Yeah, it's stellar.
He really has been putting up numbers.
They've been so much fun to watch. But they fell short against FaZe in this last major. I had mixed feelings about it. On one hand, I was excited, like, you know, let's go, good job, boys. On the other hand, I was like, dang, man, I really want to see New York win. So will we see them get a championship anytime this season? Maybe the next major, maybe the one after that. FaZe so far, they've been in every single one of them. They've lost 2 out of 3. Clearly the best team in the world right now. I think they're up by like 100 points in comparison to everyone else in their first place spot. They're not getting touched. They are 22-4. With that being said, New York is 16-9. That is still an amazing record. It is a fantastic record, and I think
only weakness I see. Continue, sorry.
I think they're going up, but I also think I know what you're gonna say.
The only weakness I see in NYSL is the control.
Oh, and really?
It just hasn't been good since stage 1, and I believe a bit of stage 2. Like in stage 1, we saw them come up against London. They absolutely smoked London off the map, and I was like, oh my god, this NYSL team looks absolutely insane in control. They beat Minnesota as well in the next week. This is from back in stage 1, but they went unbeaten for a little bit on control, and then it's just absolutely fallen apart since then, kind of. And they lost the control against FaZe in the final.
I think that was one of the fastest control games I saw was against FaZe. I was blown away at how fast that ended.
Oh yeah, sorry, I messed up. I clicked on the wrong match, but yeah, they lost a control to FaZe earlier in the winners final, and then they lost 2 more to FaZe in the grand final. So I just don't know what happened to the control. They need to kind of get back on how they used to be on that front. Hydra doesn't seem like it's his game mode, dropping a 0.79 against FaZe in the controls. Maybe because it's just FaZe. I mean, that's just something we'll have to see. But also their S&D just wasn't great. They beat them on the Miami, but it was kind of looking a bit sketchy there. I was like, is a full sale coming in? Like, what's going on here, guys?
Yeah.
Because they went 5-0 up, and then I believe they lost like 3 rounds in a row. And I was like, oh, God, what's going on? But yeah, Seam had an overall KD of 0.39 in the S&Ds against FaZe.
That's horrendous.
Yeah, that's just not great. But other than that, classic. I mean, NYSL has just been good. Like in Hardpoint, they were unbeaten for I don't even know how many games. I could look at it if I wanted to, but I think that would take me a very long time. So they went on a huge map win streak of Hardpoints. Their S&D isn't something to shout home about, but it's not bad. It's pretty solid. Like they can take most teams the distance, unless you're kind of like FaZe, where you're 2-pack God S&D team.
Ever since they brought him in, I mean, FaZe, they had good search before, but now it is just... You can tell how articulate it is and how just perfect. I meant to say meticulous. That made more sense.
Meticulous? I think that's a made-up word, but yeah, I mean, NYSL have been great. I don't think... honestly, if Clayster can come and win... Like, if FaZe and Thieves don't win Champs Final, if I wanted it to be a team, I'd want it to be the Subliners. Because I'd want to see Old Man Clayster get 3 in a row. That I think that would just cement himself as the greatest of all time. The storylines would just be absolutely insane.
Yeah, you got to be kicking yourself if you're Hastro. You kept the wrong bet.
He kept the wrong AR. It's tough. You never know, but I mean, it's hard. But if he wins this again, he just built up another youth squad by himself, really. He's got a Seam on his team, Hydra and Mac. Diamond Con as well. He was there. All young guns. Old Man Clayster breeding the young talent again and going and winning a Champs Final for the 3rd time in a row would just be so poetic, really.
It would.
He did it with the E United team, with the young talent, with a Simp and a BZ. Does it with Dallas, with Shotzi and Illy. And who am I missing? There's 5, right? 5v5. Hook, yeah. Okay. Well, Hook's not really young, is he? So, I mean, really. Yeah, Shotzi and Illy. And then he comes in here with a Seam, Hydra, Mac, and Diamond Con and wins another one. It would just be so poetic. Really show the beautiful game COD is. And if Clayster was going to retire, I feel like that would be the time to do it. Just end on a high, you know.
I don't know if he would.
I don't think he would, but
what are those things that they do where they just post you know how it's like mic'd up but for CDL?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Clay is still fired up. If you didn't know how old he was, you would think he's like early 20s, maybe even 19.
100%.
I think he's going to be the Tom Brady of CDL. I think he's going to win another one, and he's going to keep going. He's not going to stop. He's just going to keep playing. He's going to be like 35.
I could definitely see it, but I'm just like kind of cautious, because like if I was a player, I feel like I'd want my career to end on a high and kind of not get washed up first. I think that's what Scump said he's going to do. He's going to play until his luck runs out or his skill runs out or something like that.
I think he said that he's going to play until his gameplay is keeping them from winning. Like once he becomes more of a negative than a positive, he's going to hang it up and go to streaming.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was something like that. So, yeah, I mean, all right. So, do you want to go into like pick'ems or something, or?
Yeah, let's go ahead and let's pick the matches for the next stage.
So, would you like me to read out the schedule to you, and we can just fill it out as we go?
I got it pulled up. We'll just kind of YOLO it right here.
Okay.
So first match we got Paris versus FaZe. Really need to elaborate.
Yeah, I mean, Paris are probably going to be playing with Zapdius. Actually, now I think about it, could Paris be better? Like, could they improve with Zapdius and dropping Nikki D?
No.
I mean, come on, man. They've got Scraps and Aqua. I hate when I just blank. It's the most annoying thing.
That's the thing. You can't even remember who these guys are. They don't have a chance against FaZe.
Temp. It's Temp. Okay, it's Temp.
Yeah.
Temp had a good stage. Temp had a very decent stage. He brought the pace to Paris because Classic wasn't doing it. Classic's pace was so slow. Now that they bring in Zapdius, a pretty fast SMG to match Temp, as long as Temp keeps up his performance from last stage, like Temp had a good stage. If he has Zapdius by his side, Scraps and Aqua start frying like they did back in stage 1. Hey man, maybe we could see a different Paris. I don't know. That's why I'm saying the league is so competitive at this point. I feel like now that I haven't even thought of this before until now, Zapdius could be the missing piece. I don't know.
I don't.
I understand the doubt. I understand.
I don't want to go and say Paris is going to.
Paris is chalked, but
absolutely perform, but I also don't want to really say that they're chalked either. So it's tough to think about. I don't know.
We'll know when we see it, I guess.
They need one good,
in a couple days.
one good, solid showing throughout the entirety of a stage, I think, to really get on that climb up. If that doesn't happen, then I don't really see them going anywhere. I know Temp was talking about it on the flank, pretty much saying, like, don't count us out. I mean, anything can happen, which I do see that side of it. I agree.
Okay. So what are we saying score-wise?
Who do you got in this one?
I'm gonna say a 3-1. I think Paris could steal a control because that has been their strongest game mode. And I feel like Zapdius will be able to just reinforce that good control performance, and I feel like they could steal a control off of FaZe.
Yeah, I actually said the same thing. FaZe 3-1.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what's going to happen as far as which mode Paris will take. I think it really depends on what map ends up getting played in hardpoint or control, whichever the case may be. If you play one of FaZe's a little bit harder hardpoint maps, which I don't think FaZe plays that well on Apocalypse, if that ends up getting played, maybe Paris takes the hardpoint, but I agree with you. It'll probably be the control. I got FaZe at 3-1 against Paris. I don't think it's going to be a sweep.
Okay. All right. So next matchup is the Toronto Ultra versus the Florida Mutineers.
That's going to be a lot of fun to see. You're going to see the Ultra riding the wave from this last stage, but then you're going to have Big Wake, Havoc, Neptune, and Skies. On paper, that team is so talented.
Yeah.
They're talented to watch, but I don't know. They're just not stringing it together. They're not that consistent. I'm gonna say Toronto 3-0 Florida. I think Toronto is just, they're fuming because they didn't get into that finals versus phase. They ended up choking it up. So I really think that they wanted to get revenge and take it this time. They're riding it all the way to the major.
Yeah, I mean, if Florida was to steal a map, it could be something like a hard point or a search, but I do agree. I think it will be a 3-0 from Ultra. I just think there's something missing at Florida. I'm not sure if it's Havoc. I'm not sure if he was the piece that they needed to take this team to another level. I don't know. I just couldn't tell you, honestly.
I don't know. I mean, could they bring a guy like TJ in place of Havoc? Another sub?
Maybe. I mean, I feel like TJ would bring the fundamentals and the stuff you can't measure, like the being an IGL. Skies even said himself, Big Wake doesn't talk a lot. He just he does his thing. I feel like Skies is kind of like a shy person too. And then they've got Neptune, who's brand new on the scene, a young gun. I just don't think they have that experience. Yeah, they need Clayster. Get Clayster in there. Come on now, that's a champs team if you got Clayster.
Any champs, any team is a champs team if you have Clayster.
Exactly. So, but right now I'm saying 3-0.
Yeah.
So then we got the Dallas Empire versus the London Royal Ravens.
That's gonna be a lot of fun to watch. You got a new London team. You got a very hopeful Dallas team. Hopefully they can turn this sinking ship around after the way they played last stage. It was just not good for them.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be scared if you're a Dallas fan, to be completely honest, because
True.
They don't have a lot to show.
I'm gonna come out with a bit of a wild prediction here. I'm gonna say 3-1 to London. I think Dallas will just get smoked off of this home series, the Chicago home series. I think they'll lose to the Royal Ravens, and I think they'll lose to Ultra as well. Then I think they'll make another roster change for Illy. Maybe Fellow comes back up in Illy's place. Slots Vivid in there. And then I think that will be a good team, as I said earlier in the podcast. But who knows?
That was a very bold prediction.
Yeah.
I said London 3-2. I do think that London is actually going to win. I think London is on the come up. I think they're going to beat Dallas. I don't think Dallas is going to have their shoes cemented too well yet with this Vivid pickup only happening a couple days ago. However, we don't know how long they've been playing together. Mm-hmm. I think London's going to come in here, take it 3-2.
Yeah, I think Vivid is going to play well this weekend. And I do think Afro and Alex might turn up for the Ravens. I think Shawnee will bring the consistency and Paul X will be Paul X. And I think London will have the ability to close this one out.
God, I'm excited to see Ravens.
You said 3-2. I think Afro will really seize his opportunity now that he's on a team. And I think that Alex will have the pressure to show up because his stage 1 performance wasn't great. And he knows that if he doesn't show up, London's not afraid to make changes. We've seen this.
Yeah.
He's out of there. They'll get buddy Haggy back in.
Yeah.
See you later, bud. Haggy's coming in to steal your spot. Haggy's on a different team every couple of days. What's the difference?
I hate that too. I wish he'd get a spot in the league for.
Yeah. So yeah, Optic versus the Rocker is the next matchup.
We got what seems to be a little rivalry brewing with these two teams after the beef that occurred.
Yeah, at least the social media teams. Yeah.
I'm gonna say Optic 3-0 this. I think Optic, they're starting to figure things out. Optic's Optic. You got to look at that roster.
Even with Major?
Even with Major, man.
They're not going to steal an S&D?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think Optic is they're coming back. There's not really much to explain. Again, it's Formal, Dashy, Scump, and Envoy.
Okay.
When they're on, they're on. So they're some of the best players to ever play the game, especially in T2P. Dashy is just insane in Treyarch games. Envoy's Envoy. I mean, unless he's playing against...
he's against FaZe.
Playing against FaZe.
On an Atlanta host, then he's not Envoy.
No, he's not Envoy.
And he's Doug Sensor Martin, if that happens. But, yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm actually going to disagree with you. I'm going to say Chicago win 3-1. I just think Chicago is going to be too solid in the respawns for Rocker to handle. But I do think Rocker will steal the S&D and kind of show what their plan is going to be for the rest of the season, where I think they'll become a strong S&D team again and just be trying their best to steal a respawn.
I don't think your prediction's unlikely. I mean, I agree with it. It's really a guessing game does Rocker show up and play Search, or does Optic come in with fire? I do agree with that, though.
Yeah.
I do think
any team can show up on the day. We've seen it so many times this season. Gorillas versus FaZe. Like, anything really can happen. So, yeah. Rocker versus Legion is the next one.
I gotta think about that one.
Yeah. So this matchup kind of depends on whether I was right in my prediction that Zaptius will really be the missing piece in this Paris team.
Right.
And we'll just have to see. If he is, I think they win this. If he's not, I think they get smoked off the map, because Rocker has had the game against Optic, and they're coming back. They're hungry, because we both predicted Rocker to lose. So in this scenario, Rocker would be coming off a loss, wanting revenge, wanting to show that their new roster really can compete. So yeah, I've also noticed that games start on Thursday now again.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit of Hex is doing. I honestly didn't mind the Wednesday games, but I mean, it's cool.
Yeah, it's whatever.
More COD each day, I guess.
But, yeah, I'll take it. COD.
Yeah.
At least I got time to watch it now.
Yeah. So, Rocker versus Legion. What are you thinking?
I think what's going to happen is, back to the point that you made earlier, I think Minnesota's going to take both searches, and I think they're going to steal a respawn, and that's going to be the key to a 3-2 Minnesota Rockers way. Their search, like you said, I mean, Major's Major. He's going to do major things. He's one of the best search players to play the game. You saw it last year on FaZe. You saw it to start the season this year with Rocker. Again, questionable to put him on the bench. Yeah. Now they brought him back. You got Standy in there. You got Attach.
That was like one of the biggest changes at the time. Everyone was going crazy. It was like, you dropped Major? Are you kidding me? Blah, blah, blah. And then there was another dropping. I believe it was Vivid. That just completely overshadowed it.
Yeah, just
they were like, blown. Why would you drop? Wait a minute. What the? Yeah, it was.
Why would you drop Methods? Methods too. They did that.
Methods as well. Yeah, I think that's what it was.
There's a few of those. It's crazy. Why are you dropping these players that are the face of your franchise? Well, I mean,
Methods. It worked out.
I see that now. I mean, that's what I was gonna say that. I mean,
on the timeline the other day, I believe Nameless mentioned that Methods really needs to get a team. And then some of the Toronto Ultra guys came back and they were like, he does have a team, blah, blah, blah. We really want to keep him here. We understand that he wants to be a starter and stuff, but we want to keep him at the Ultra. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Methods. I don't see why they'd keep him there if they're not going to start him. I mean, they know how good he is, I think. So they don't want to give up an asset to another team where he could possibly become a threat to them.
Imagine the league goes back 5v5 next year.
Oh my god, that would be so short.
You put City back on the lineup.
No, man, that can't happen.
Bring Doug.
Then Doug has to have his chance. We'll have an expansion league, 5v5. Get dug in there. Get dug in. Get dug in.
I thought he was going to have a shot last year with New York. I really thought it was coming.
Yeah, it looked like it, but apparently accuracy snaked him. So Lamar snaked him, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we don't know what happens behind the scenes. But anyways, talking about the games, I predicted the same as you. Rocker wins 3-2. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be that search for sure. Oh, God. This next game is really going to be the proving grounds for both of these teams, I think, actually. You have LA, they really need to show that who can come in and do their thing as they did when they had TJ. Because if you bring in Hook and you play worse than you did when you had TJ, you'll have a lot of people complaining, including me.
Yeah, I feel like the publicity of the Hook transfer was just so huge that now Hook has so much pressure on him. He's under so much scrutiny. Like when he was playing bad in the 4v4 in the All-Star weekend, everyone in the chat was going crazy like, hey Hastro Nade here, you want Hook back? Like the whole chat, so toxic, man, towards Hook. Like you got to give the man a break, man. He's not washed. He has a lot of talent. He can have bad games. Everyone has bad games. YouTube chat is so bad. It's so toxic. Every time someone's having a bad game, they're the worst player in the world. It's bad. YouTube chat is. But I think LA Thieves take this match 3-0. As I said earlier, I think Seattle is completely shocked. The only way they survive at this point is Doug. So yeah.
You know what?
They just need censor.
I'm gonna say for the storylines only, not my COD IQ, I'm going to say it's a 3-2. Seattle steals both searches with Classic, the new IGL.
Bro, I would look like such a fool if that actually happens. I'm saying 3-0.
I'm choosing 3-2 Seattle prediction. Only for the memes. Only for the memes and storylines.
Nobody way. I would look like an idiot. I'm here saying that they're going to be a garbage S&D team, and then they come out and smoke Thieves in the S&D. I mean, Thieves aren't a great S&D team, but well, they're not bad. They're a good S&D team, I'd say. I feel like I did a bit dirty there, but
I think they're even better now than before. I'm being an AM COD player. Somebody I look at a lot has been Hook. His routes and stuff that he takes with search and the way that he plays the game is so impressive to me. I try to mimic a lot of that. Search.
Apparently Krim doesn't like it, but
apparently not. I heard him say something about that.
The mini map.
I tell you, as an amateur last year, especially in Modern Warfare, I took a lot of Hook's routes, and I tell you, it works. I don't know why Porter's complaining.
All right. Well, we'll see. I guess we'll see. I predicted 3-0. You went 3-2 to Surge. Yeah. I mean, the scenes. What even happens to LAT if that happens? God, like, what happens? Is someone getting dropped? Like, probably, right? Is it Venom? Is it who? They probably just dropped a bag for Hook. I don't think they'd want to.
I wouldn't want to see that. I'm not liking the culture that's getting built around these CDL teams where if you take an L, you start dropping players. If you take a good look at some of these teams that are winning, even when they lose, they're not dropping players, they're keeping players. And if they do make a change, it's one change and they ride it out for a little bit to see if things improve. At this point, it's roster mania all year, and I don't think that's a good look. I don't think it's a good look for the players that want to get into the league anyways, knowing that even if they do make it, they're one bad map away from getting chalked back to challengers.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely true. But I mean, with teams it has worked. You can't deny. I mean, Ultra worked. Subliners it's worked. So I mean, in some cases, with Royal Ravens, even it's worked to a degree. To where at the start of the season, everyone was like, they're the worst team, blah, blah, blah. Now they're actually looking competitive. They make another change. So who knows what they're going to look like now. But
I'll have to judge that when I see it. I don't know how they're going to play with Alex now. I think Zed was better than Alex. I would have kept him instead, but that's just me.
Yeah, comparing their performances, Zed was definitely better than Alex when he was in the team. But anyways, moving on to the Gorillas versus the Subliners. The Gorillas, yeah, they didn't make a change. So Sheen, Silly, Apathy, and Assault. I mean, it's up to Apathy and Silly on how this series goes. Psych 3-0 Subliners, easy dub.
Yeah, I agree with you there. 3-0 Subliners. There's not
like,
much to harp on about. Subliners are going to do what they did last stage, and they're going to play their game 3-0.
Apathy and Silly just cannot keep up with players like Mac and Hydra. So I think it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough.
Yeah, it's going to be very ugly.
Yeah, all right. So now we have Florida versus London.
I'm curious to hear what you say about this one.
Now this is interesting because I said Florida would get 3-0'd by Ultra, and I said that the Royal Ravens would beat Empire 3-1. I just don't know. I honestly, with this matchup, I feel like they're so evenly matched that it could really go either way. But I'm gonna say 3-2 to the Royal Ravens. I think they will go the distance because they're so evenly matched. And even if it doesn't go the distance, I think the maps will be very close. The SMGs will be battling out the ARs. Shawnee versus Big Wake.
Yeah,
it'll be good. It'll be good.
I'm following the trend that I talked about earlier. I think Royal Ravens are on the come up. In my predictions, I actually had them beating Dallas Empire 3-2, and I had Florida losing to Ultra 0-3. I mean, long story short, my predictions is pretty much Florida's going to get dumped on this whole next couple games. But
what do you think? What do you think happens in Florida if that does happen? Do you think there's a team change, honestly, or do you think they?
No, I don't think so. I think they probably ride it out. If they change anything, I think.
Well, not what you want. What you think? What do you think is going to happen?
I feel like what would probably happen, and what would probably be best for them, is to probably get rid of Havoc and try to find a sub that can really hang in there with some of these better subs on these other teams. I mean, if Zaptius just... Oh, wait, no, he's with Paris now, isn't he?
Yep.
Yeah, well, see...
I don't think it's official, but...
I was thinking that he was going to be on Ravens.
No. Afro and
Alex.
So shocked. Alex, yeah.
That's Afro what happens with all the roster changes happening.
I know, dude. I'm trying to keep up. My mind's going 1,000 miles per hour.
I think what's going to happen is I think London, again, they're just going to ride the momentum. I hope that
honeymoon phase.
What I think is going to happen, ideally, is I think Alex is going to come in. He's going to have his family issues resolved, so he's not going to have anything bad on his mind when he goes into play. And we don't know how long it was on his mind. Didn't you say they went 0-5 with him on the team?
Yeah, 0-5 with him, and then he had to leave due to family issues.
Yeah, so we don't know how long that was going on. Hopefully his mind's right now. He'll come in and play. I think he played really well last year.
But you got to think. You got to think, as Methods loves to say, that was a completely different team back then. He's coming in with 2 brand new players that he hasn't played with yet. 3 new players. No, 2 new players. I'm still thinking 5v5, I'm so choked. We got Paul X and Afro, who he hasn't played with yet. It's going to be interesting because Alex was pretty good last season with the Rocker, if I'm not mistaken. So he has the talent. Maybe the team was just a problem. Dylan was very inconsistent in stage 1. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I have them winning 3-2. You said you have them winning...
Now that I have my rosters straight in my brain, this is what I think is going to happen. I think Afro's going to show up. He's going to play fairly decent. I think he's going to be a good sub for these guys. I think Alex, he's going to come back mentally healthy and everything. I just think that London's going to be too much for Florida to handle it. I think it's going to be 3-2.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said.
But they are incredibly evenly matched, so...
Yeah, I think London's warming up though. I think they definitely honestly, I think they might get to champs, and I think they will be a contender type team. I don't know if they'll be top 4, but I think they will be a team that will contend and will be. They will win the matches that they need to win against these lower teams, and I think that's what will lead them to.
If champs. London it was to beat Florida, that looks good.
Yeah,
London needs to move up 2 spots in order to go to champs. They have to go through LAG and they have to go through Florida. So if you're either Paris, I'm not going to touch on Seattle.
They're chalk.
Either Paris or London has to really keep their fingers crossed for a big tournament. They have to play extremely well, and they also have to hope that Florida and LAG stall out and don't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think Zapdius will be a good pickup for the Legion. I don't know yet, but I think he is that missing piece that, you know, Classic just wasn't. If Scraps and Aqua return to stage 1 performance and, you know, Temp performs like he did last stage, I think Paris are another very solid team. And I think we're going to see a big change in the standings. Honestly, Florida and Minnesota are going to be looking behind their backs. They're going to be like, hey, what's going on back there?
Yeah.
A little bit shook if I was them. So Minnesota are kind of just going to have to hope that their S&D is as good as it should be with Major on the team. Because if it's not, Rucker and Florida could be in for some big trouble here.
Yeah. So, yeah. Imagine those two don't make it a champs.
Yeah. It'll be crazy. The 2 EU teams slide in at last second, stage 5.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see.
In my opinion, I think stage 1 Paris, they were one of the better S&D teams.
Yeah, they were good.
Aqua was wild to watch on Search.
Mm-hmm. I had Aqua on my draft buff, and he was bringing out points for me all the time. Yeah. Like it was so fun. And then out of nowhere, he just fell off, and I was like, "Get off my team, bro! You're tanking my points."
This next Sunday is going to be a lot of fun. The last 2 games we have here, Dallas Empire versus Toronto Ultra. Oh man, that's a good game.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we're in for 2 great games, and I've put it as 2 dominant games actually. So wow. I've just to go through it quickly. I've predicted Ultra to win 3-0. I still don't think Illy is the right fit for this team. I think he needs to be swapped out for Fellow. I think that would just work really well with the fast-paced SMGs mixed with Fellow, and then Crimsix as the anchor to that team, keeping them grounded, keeping them calm, making sure they don't get frantic. I think that's the perfect lineup that the Empire can have.
Yeah.
And then we have Optic versus FaZe, and I said that will be a 3-1. I think Optic might take a control. I think FaZe will dominate them in the S&D, and I think their hardpoint looked good. They beat NYSL in hardpoint, and NYSL was looking unbeatable in hardpoint. So I think it's going to be tough for Optic.
Yeah. So to touch on the Dallas and Ultra game, I'm going to give my pick. I'll explain why in a second. I said Dallas 3-2. I'm trying to keep my predictions very, very in line with, you know, the entire set of matches we actually have. I don't want to say one thing that contradicts the other. I had London beating Empire 3-2. And I think that's going to do something to them mentally. They will be coming off a loss playing against Ultra, one of the best teams in the world. I think that somehow they can turn around. Maybe Illy does do a little bit more than what he's been doing lately. I've been saying this since actually the beginning. I've had my doubts with Illy. I think Dallas is going to come and win 3-2. It's not going to be because of Ultra dropping anything. If it happens, I think it'll be because Empire actually plays the way Dallas Empire we know plays. And then
I mean, they are
the final
champs.
match, the classic. This is a classic. And even though it's not the same, I love seeing these two. I love seeing Optic and FaZe play. It's just so much fun every time. It gives me childhood vibes.
Yeah.
And I said FaZe 3-1. I think FaZe is going to smoke them.
Yeah. That's exactly what I said.
Easy. Also, 1 second. You entertain them for a minute.
Okay. Well, to elaborate, I think FaZe's control is just, it's not as good as their hardpoint and S&D. We can see an example of that in the grand final where FaZe beat NYSL, who on the hardpoint, which didn't look doable. A lot of teams couldn't do it, but FaZe comes out and does it. They also, their S&D, I mean, do I need to say anything? Tupac has really just revitalized their S&D completely at this point. But their control looks a little bit shaky. Like NYSL, who is not a great control team, did take them the distance on the Garrison. So it'll be interesting to see. I think Optic could steal that control because of just FaZe's forming control just hasn't been to the par it was in stage 1. But I mean, I could see this even being a 3-0, but I'm giving Optic the, what's the word? The doubt? Something about the doubt.
Benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, the benefit of the doubt, and giving them the control. But I do think FaZe will win out on the hard points and take the S&D. So I said 3-1 there.
I want to credit FaZe's recent dominance also, not only to Tupac, not only to the Tiny Terrors, not only to a boy Cell, but Alec has stepped up and he is a different breed now.
Yeah. I mean, it's just scary when you don't need Simp to pop off for your team to be nuts. Like, Simp has been good, but not to the level that he normally is, and FaZe is still going crazy, so...
Part of that is due, I think, to Simp's unselfishness as a player. There's no selfishness going around on FaZe. They don't play for stats.
100%. Yeah.
For those of you audio listeners, I had to step away for a minute because I'm going to clip this and send. I've tweeted at you, Alec. I have DM'd you before. You are the only player I do not have signed on this hat. I got all 5 of them last year. 6 if you want to include Crowder, their coach. I need you to sign this. I will pay for shipping. I just need you to sign this. I'm not selling it. It's not for the money. I just think it's cool. So
help happen, Alec.
Help me out. Look at
this. He
just
gassed you. You gotta.
I picked you 3-1, and I picked you 3-1.
There you go. He's gassing your team.
Help a
He's
brother
gassing
out.
you, Alec. Come on, man. If you see this. He is a legend, to be fair.
He really is. He's so good.
Big up Arcides. Big respect for him for getting player of the stage, really stepping up.
He deserved it.
Yeah, he really did. Sign his hat. Come on now. We're giving you the premium gas right now. You gotta sign the hat. But yeah, I think that's good. I don't know how the hell long we've been doing this. I've just been talking and talking and talking and talking.
We're at 1 hour and 24 minutes.
Good Lord.
One heck of an episode.
Podcast I've ever done. Watch this. What you say now that you haven't been recording, I would lose full composure. But yeah, it's been fun.
It has. I
feel like I've been waffling a lot, but
I got a lot of excitement going into this. I think the Sideline Podcast is going to take off. It feels good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been fun. Love to talk about COD League. It's been great so far, and I think it's going to get even better, even hotter, especially if London and Paris live up to my expectations of them. As a EU lad myself, I'm kind of rooting for them, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah.
You guys can actually check this out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, both of our YouTube channels. It's going to be everywhere you get your podcasts. It doesn't matter where you want to do it, audio, video, you name it. But with that being said, We will be coming out with a new episode every single Tuesday of every single week. Be on the lookout on your platforms. And it's been fun. It's been fun.
Yeah, it really has. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for having me. Bit of both. And yeah, it was fun talking about the COD League. And I hope everyone listening, if you've got to this point, huge respect to you. Good God.
Honestly, it's a monster
taking
of an
that
episode.
time out of your day. And yeah, we appreciate you. I hope you enjoyed. I've been Kevz.
I've been Fortune. See you guys next week.
See you in a bit, guys.